Don't tell anyone I'm here. Arthur Collins' hand trembled as he gripped the edge of the diner booth, his whisper barely audible over the rumble of motorcycle engines outside. The largest man at the table leather vest, scarred knuckles, eyes that had seen war, leaned closer. Arthur's bruised wrist slipped from beneath his sleeve. My caregiver. He choked out tears streaming down his weathered face. She said if I talked to anyone she'd... His voice broke. The biker's jaw tightened. Before we continue with Arthur's desperate plea, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Stay with me until the very end of this story. You won't believe what happens next. And drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from so I can see how far Arthur's story travels. Now let's go back to where it all began. 3 months earlier, Arthur Collins stood in his kitchen staring at the pill bottle in his hand, his fingers shaking so badly he nearly dropped it. The label said, heart medication, take daily. But something was wrong. The pills looked different, rounder, whiter. Not the small yellow tablets Dr. Morrison had prescribed for the past 5 years. Arthur, what are you doing? Lena Brooks appeared in the doorway, her smile bright and artificial like plastic flowers. She'd been his caregiver for 6 weeks now, hired through an agency after Eleanor died. After his wife of 52 years left him alone in this too-quiet house with its creaking floors and empty rooms that still smelled like her lavender perfume. These pills, Arthur said slowly, they don't look right. Lena crossed the kitchen in 3 quick steps and plucked the bottle from his hand. Oh, Arthur, your memory again. Dr. Morrison changed your prescription 2 weeks ago. Remember I told you about it? Had she, Arthur pressed his palm against his forehead. The days blurred together now. Sometimes he woke up and forgot Eleanor was gone, reached across the bed for her warmth, and found only cold sheets. I don't remember that, he said. That's why you need me. Lena's voice dripped with concern, but her grip on his shoulder was too tight. You're forgetting more and more. It's getting worse, Arthur pulled away from her touch. I want to call Dr. Morrison myself. The phone's not working. Lena gestured vaguely toward the living room. I already called the phone company. They said it'll be a few days. That was another thing. The phone had been broken for 3 weeks now. And his cell phone, where was his cell phone? Lena said he'd lost it, but Arthur couldn't remember losing anything. I'll drive to his office then, Arthur said, surprising himself with the firmness in his voice. Lena's smile never wavered, but something flickered in her eyes, something cold. Arthur, you can't drive anymore. Don't you remember the DM5 revoked your license after that incident at the grocery store? What incident? You don't remember? Lena shook her head sadly. You knocked over an entire display of cans. Nearly hit another car in the parking lot. The store manager called me, said you seemed confused and disoriented. Arthur's chest tightened. He didn't remember any of that. But then again, he didn't remember a lot of things lately. The gaps in his memory terrified him more than he'd admit to anyone. Take your pill, Arthur. Lena held out one of the white tablets and a glass of water. You'll feel better. He stared at the pill, at her expectant face, at the empty kitchen where Eleanor used to make Sunday pancakes and hum old Glenn Miller songs. He took the pill and swallowed it. What choice did he have? That night, Arthur lay awake in bed listening to Lena move around downstairs. Cabinets opening and closing. The scrape of furniture being moved. At 2 a.m, he heard her voice low and urgent, talking to someone. But the phone was broken, wasn't it? He crept to the top of the stairs, his arthritic knees protesting every movement. Lena stood in the living room below cell phone pressed to her ear. No, he doesn't suspect anything, she said. I'm handling it. The account, I've got access to everything now. Power of attorney was easier than I thought. Yeah, the old fool signed whatever I put in front of him. Arthur's blood turned to ice water. How much? Probably another month or 2 before anyone notices. His kids never visit. Perfect setup. The medication switch is working. He's getting weaker every day. Arthur backed away from the stairs, so fast he stumbled, catching himself on the wall. His heart hammered against his ribs. His real heart medication would have steadied it, but whatever Lena was giving him made everything feel sluggish and wrong. He retreated to his bedroom and locked the door with trembling hands. Think, Arthur. Think. But his mind felt stuffed with cotton thoughts moving like molasses. The next morning, Lena acted like nothing had happened. She made him oatmeal. Eleanor had made it with brown sugar and cinnamon, but Lena's was bland and watery and watched him eat every bite. I need to go to the bank today, Arthur said carefully. What for? Just checking on something. Lena set down her coffee cup. Arthur, I handle all your banking now. Remember, you signed those papers giving me power of attorney to make things easier. You were so worried about forgetting to pay bills. I never signed. You did. Lena pulled a folder from the kitchen drawer and showed him documents with his signature at the bottom. His signature, but he had no memory of writing it. See, you were having one of your bad days. Very confused. I had to help you remember your own address. Arthur stared at the papers. That was his signature. Shaky, but his. Had he really forgotten signing these? Was his mind deteriorating that fast? I think I should call my son, he said. Marcus, Lena's laugh was light, airy, practiced. Oh, Arthur, Marcus made it very clear he doesn't want to be bothered with your care. He said you were my responsibility now. His words, not mine. That's not true. Marcus wouldn't. He did. Lena's voice sharpened. He said, and I quote, do whatever you need to do. I don't have time for this. It hurt my feelings, honestly. His own father. Arthur felt something crack inside his chest. Marcus had been distant since Eleanor's funeral, yes. Busy with his job in Seattle, his own family. But would he really say that? Would his own son abandon him? I want to hear that from him directly, Arthur said. The phone's still broken, remember? Then I'll use your phone. Lena stood up abruptly. Arthur, you're being difficult. This is exactly the kind of behavior Marcus was talking about. The paranoia, the accusations. Dr. Morrison warned me this might happen as your condition progresses. What condition? The dementia, Arthur. Lena spoke slowly like talking to a child. We discussed this with Dr. Morrison last month. You were there. Don't you remember? No, he didn't remember, but was that because it didn't happen or because his mind was failing him? The isolation crept in like fog. Days passed, then weeks. Lena controlled everything, his meals, his medication, his access to the outside world. The TV mysteriously stopped working. His computer password suddenly didn't work anymore. Lena said he must have changed it and forgotten. Arthur began finding his things moved or missing. His wallet disappeared from his dresser. His car keys vanished. Photo albums Eleanor had meticulously organized were suddenly scattered and out of order. When he questioned Lena, she looked at him with patient concern. You moved those yourself, Arthur. Don't you remember yesterday afternoon you were looking through them? You must have gotten distracted. Had he? The uncertainty gnawed at him constantly. One morning, Arthur woke to find bruises on his arms, dark purple fingerprints above his elbows. He stared at them in the bathroom mirror, trying to remember how they got there. Lena appeared behind him. Oh, those. You fell yesterday getting out of the shower. I had to grab you to keep you from cracking your head open. You really scared me. I don't remember falling. I know. Lena's reflection smiled at him in the mirror. That's what worries me most. The memory loss is accelerating. I think we need to discuss more intensive care options. Maybe a facility. No. The word came out sharp, definitive. I'm not leaving my home. Arthur, you're becoming a danger to yourself. I said no. Something flickered across Lena's face, anger quickly masked. We'll discuss it later when you're feeling more reasonable. That afternoon, Arthur tried to leave the house. Just walk to the end of the driveway, maybe to Henderson's Roadside Grill 3 blocks away, where he and Eleanor used to get coffee every Sunday morning. But when he reached for the front door handle, it wouldn't turn. Lena! The door's stuck. She came from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. Oh, I had a new lock installed, for security. There's been a rash of break-ins in the neighborhood. I need the key. Of course. But she didn't move to get it. Where are you going? Just for a walk. Arthur, you can barely make it to the mailbox without getting winded. What if you fall? What if you get confused and can't find your way back? What if, give me the key, Lena. Her smile hardened. I can't let you hurt yourself, Arthur. It's my job to keep you safe. What if something happened to you and I had to tell Marcus I'd let you wander off? He'd never forgive me. Arthur felt the walls closing in. This is my house. You can't keep me prisoner here. Prisoner, Lena laughed, but there was no humor in it. Arthur, listen to yourself. This is exactly the kind of paranoid delusion Dr. Morrison warned about. You're not a prisoner. You're a confused elderly man who needs help. Help I'm providing out of the goodness of my heart. She walked away, leaving Arthur standing at the locked door. That night, he heard her on the phone again. Yeah, another withdrawal. No, he doesn't even check the statements anymore. I'm telling you, this is the easiest score I've had in years. What's he gonna do, call the cops? He can't even remember his own address half the time. Arthur sat on the edge of his bed, Eleanor's picture clutched in his hands. 52 years they'd been married, through recessions and job losses and raising Marcus in the cancer scare that nearly took her 10 years ago. They'd survived everything together. But he'd had to watch her die helpless holding her hand while the life drained from her eyes, and now this slow drowning in his own home. "What do I do, Eleanor?" he whispered to the photograph. "What do I do?" Oh, yeah. Days blurred into weeks. Arthur grew weaker. The pills Lena gave him made him dizzy, nauseous. His hands shook constantly now. His heart raced at odd moments, then slowed to a frightening crawl. He stopped eating much. The food Lena prepared tasted wrong, metallic, and he worried she was putting something in it. "You're wasting away," Lena observed one morning, her voice full of false concern. "We really need to discuss full-time facility care. I don't think I can manage your deteriorating condition much longer." "Where's my money going?" Arthur asked suddenly. The question had been building for days. "Excuse me. My pension, Eleanor's life insurance, where is it?" Lena's expression didn't change. "Paying your bills, Arthur. This house doesn't run on air. The mortgage, utilities, my salary, your medications." The mortgage was paid off 20 years ago. The reverse mortgage. "Arthur, don't you remember taking that out to pay for Eleanor's medical bills?" No, he didn't remember. But there were so many things that he did not remember now. "I want to see the bank statements. I'll print them out for you." But she never did. One afternoon, Arthur made a decision. He had to get out, had to reach someone, anyone who could help. He waited until Lena went upstairs for her afternoon nap. She always napped from 2 to 3, like clockwork. He tried the front door again. Locked. The back door, also locked. The garage, locked from the outside. Every window on the ground floor had been fitted with security bars. "For your protection," Lena had said. His prison had been carefully constructed. Arthur's breath came in short gasps. His chest ached, not the sharp pain of a heart attack, but the dull throb of a heart struggling without proper medication. How long had it been since he'd had his real pills? Cyclamen 8. He stumbled to the kitchen drawer where Eleanor used to keep emergency cash. Empty. He checked the coffee can on the high shelf. Nothing. The book safe disguised as a dictionary. Gone. Everything was gone. Arthur sank into Eleanor's favorite chair, the one by the window where she'd read murder mysteries and done crossword puzzles, and something sharp pressed into his leg. He reached down and found it, the spare house key Eleanor had hidden in the chair cushion years ago, the one she'd put there after locking herself out twice in 1 month. Arthur stared at the key in his trembling palm. This was it, his one chance. He waited until Lena's snoring drifted down from upstairs. Then he moved toward the front door with agonizing slowness, each step a negotiation with his failing body. The key slid into the lock. Turned. The door opened. Cold air hit his face. Real air. Outside air. For a moment, Arthur just stood there, breathing it in. Then he stepped over the threshold. The world had changed. Or maybe he had. The 3 blocks to Henderson's roadside grill felt like 3 miles. Arthur had to stop twice to catch his breath, leaning against mailboxes and trees, his vision swimming. A young woman jogged past and asked if he was okay, but Arthur waved her off. If Lena woke up and found him gone, he couldn't think about that. Just had to keep moving. Henderson's appeared ahead, the old diner with its neon sign and parking lot full of motorcycles. Arthur had forgotten it was Thursday. The Hells Angels or Iron Brotherhood, or whatever they called themselves, always stopped here on Thursday afternoons during their weekly ride. Eleanor had loved watching them come and go. "They're not scary," she'd say when Arthur grumbled about the noise. "They're just people who love freedom and the open road. Besides, Hawk always holds the door for me." Hawk. Caleb Hawk Ramirez, former Marine owner of the auto shop where Arthur used to get his oil changed. Eleanor had gotten to know him over the years, chatting while waiting for the car. She'd had that gift, making friends with everyone from bank presidents to bikers. Arthur pushed open the diner door. The smell of coffee and frying bacon made his stomach clench. Inside, 8 or 9 bikers crowded around a corner booth, their leather vests creaking, their laughter loud and genuine. Hawk sat at the center, a mountain of a man with a gray-streaked beard and eyes that missed nothing. He looked up as Arthur entered, and something shifted in his expression. Arthur's courage almost failed him. What was he doing? These were strangers. They couldn't help him. No one could help him. But then he thought of Eleanor's voice. "Sometimes the angels we need don't have wings, Arthur. Sometimes they have Harleys." He walked toward the table. His legs shook. His heart hammered. The other bikers fell silent as he approached, and Arthur realized how he must look gaunt, trembling. probably wild-eyed with desperation. "Excuse me," Arthur whispered. His voice cracked. "I'm sorry to bother you, but—" He couldn't finish. The words stuck in his throat. Hawk stood up slowly, and Arthur had to crane his neck to look at him. "Sir, you okay?" Arthur's eyes filled with tears. "My caregiver told me not to talk to anyone, but I need help. I need—" His knees buckled. Hawk caught him before he hit the floor, those massive hands surprisingly gentle. "Whoa there, I got you. Someone get him a chair. Now." They moved fast, clearing space, bringing water. Arthur found himself sitting at their table surrounded by leather and concerned faces. Hawk crouched beside him so they were eye level. "Take your time," Hawk said quietly. "What's your name?" "Arthur Collins." Recognition flashed across Hawk's face. "Eleanor's husband." Arthur nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. "Eleanor talked about you all the time." Hawk's voice gentled even more. "I was real sorry to hear she passed. She was good people." He paused. "What did you mean your caregiver told you not to talk to anyone?" The dam broke. Words poured out of Arthur. The pills, the locked doors, the stolen money, the isolation, the bruises, the fear. He pulled up his sleeve to show the fingerprints on his arms, showed them how his hands shook, told them about the phone calls he'd overheard, the bank accounts he couldn't access, the son who supposedly didn't want to be bothered. The bikers listened in complete silence. No interruptions, no disbelief, just grim, focused attention. When Arthur finished, Hawk looked at the man sitting across from him, a thin guy with glasses and a leather vest covered in patches. Doc leaned forward and gently took Arthur's wrist, checking his pulse. Irregular heartbeat, significant tremors, probable malnutrition. He looked at Arthur. "You said she switched your heart medication about 2 months ago. What did she replace it with?" "I don't know." Doc's jaw tightened. "Hawk, this is bad, really bad." A woman biker Arthur hadn't noticed her before spoke up. Her voice was steel-wrapped in silk. "This is elder abuse, textbook case, financial exploitation, medical neglect, false imprisonment." Hawk nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving Arthur's face. "What do you need from us, Arthur?" "I don't know," Arthur whispered. I couldn't stay in that house anymore. I couldn't—" "You did the right thing," Hawk said firmly. "Coming here was exactly right. Now we're going to take care of this. You understand me? You're not going back there alone. We're going to fix this." Arthur felt something he hadn't felt in months, hope. It bloomed in his chest, fragile and terrifying. "She said no one would believe me, that everyone thinks I'm losing my mind." "We believe you," the woman biker said. Her name patch read Raven. "And we're going to make sure everyone else believes you too." Hawk pulled out his phone. "I'm calling Marcus first. Your son needs to know what's happening." "He won't answer. He doesn't want—" "Let's find out." Hawk was already dialing. Arthur didn't even know how he had Marcus's number, but Eleanor probably gave it to him years ago. She'd been thorough about things like that. The phone rang and rang. Arthur's heart sank. Then hello, Marcus's voice. Real, confused, very much alive and answering. "Marcus Collins, this is Caleb Ramirez. I'm a friend of your mother's. I'm here with your father, and we need to talk about his caregiver." Who is this, what caregiver? Hawk's eyes met Arthur's. "You don't know your father has a full-time caregiver." "No, Dad, is that you? What's going on?" Hawk handed Arthur the phone. Arthur's hands shook so badly he could barely hold it. "Marcus, Dad, where are you? I've been trying to call you for weeks. Your phone goes straight to voicemail, and when I call the house, some woman keeps saying you're sleeping or too sick to come to the phone. You've been calling. Every other day, I was about to fly down there this weekend because I was getting worried." Who is this woman? What's happening? The room tilted. Lena had been intercepting everything. Calls, visits, mail, everything. Arthur couldn't speak. Hawk gently took the phone back. "Marcus, your father's in trouble. He's at Henderson's Roadside Grill in Redwood Harbor. I think you need to get here as fast as you can." "I'll catch the next flight. Tell him I'm coming. Tell him I never stop calling." Hawk hung up and looked at Arthur. "Your son's been trying to reach you, Arthur. He never abandoned you." Arthur buried his face in his hands and wept. Raven was already on her phone calling Adult Protective Services. Doc was calling the local police station. Apparently, his sister was a dispatcher there. The other bikers formed a protective circle around Arthur, shutting out the curious stares from other diner patrons. We need to get him checked out at the hospital, Doc said. Those heart symptoms are serious. If she's been giving him something else instead of his medication, I'll take him, Hawk said. Raven, you and Ghost head to Arthur's house. Don't confront the caregiver yet, just observe. Make sure she doesn't destroy evidence or take off and, On it! Raven and another biker headed for the door. Wait, Arthur said. What if she sees you? What if... We'll be discreet, Raven assured him. And Arthur, we do this for a living. Well, not this is silly, but let's just say we're good at watching people who don't want to be watched. After they left, Hawk helped Arthur to his feet. Can you walk to my truck, or do you need me to carry you? I can walk, but he swayed immediately, and Hawk's arm came around his shoulders steady and solid. No shame in needing help, Arthur. Eleanor taught me that. They made it to Hawk's truck, a massive black Ford with the Iron Brotherhood logo on the side. Hawk helped Arthur into the passenger seat with surprising gentleness for such a large man. As they drove to Redwood Harbor General Hospital, Arthur stared out the window at the familiar streets. He'd driven these roads for decades, taken Marcus to school on these streets, driven Eleanor to the grocery store, to church, to the doctor. This was his town, his home, and Lena had made him a prisoner in it. Why did you believe me? Arthur asked quietly. Hawk glanced at him. Because I've seen this before. My grandmother... He paused, jaw tightening. Same thing happened to her. Different caregiver, same playbook. By the time we figured it out, she'd been isolated for 8 months. Died 2 weeks after we got her away from the woman who was supposed to be caring for her. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. Hawk's hands gripped the steering wheel. That's why I believe you, Arthur. And that's why we're not going to let what happened to my grandmother happen to you. At the hospital, things moved quickly. Hawk's presence seemed to open doors, or maybe it was the urgency in Doc's voice when he called ahead. Arthur found himself in an examination room with nurses drawing blood, checking his vitals, asking questions. Dr. Morrison arrived within 30 minutes, his face creased with concern. Arthur, what's going on? I got a call from the hospital saying you were here with cardiac symptoms. Dr. Hawk interrupted. I am. Yeah. Did you change Arthur's heart medication 2 months ago? What? No. He's been on the same prescription for 5 years. Why would I? Morrison's face went pale. Oh my God, Arthur, what have you been taking? Arthur pulled the pill bottle from his pocket. He grabbed it on his way out of the house, some instinct telling him it might be important. Morrison opened it, shook out a tablet, examined it. This is a vitamin supplement, he said slowly. Basic multivitamin. Arthur, where did you get this? My caregiver said you changed my prescription. I never... Morrison sat down heavily. Arthur, how long have you been without your actual heart medication? 2 months, maybe more. Jesus Christ. Morrison looked at Hawk. We need to get him admitted immediately. 2 months without his medication, the damage to his heart. Arthur didn't hear the rest. The room was spinning and darkness crept in at the edges of his vision. He heard Hawk's voice from very far away. Arthur, stay with us, buddy. Stay with us. Then nothing. Arthur's eyes opened to harsh fluorescent lights and the steady beep of monitors. His chest felt heavy like someone had stacked bricks on his ribcage. A nurse leaned over him, her face coming into focus. Mr. Collins, can you hear me? You're in the hospital. You're safe. Safe. The word felt foreign. Arthur tried to sit up, but the nurse's hand pressed gently against his shoulder. Easy. You've been out for about 20 minutes. Your heart went into arrhythmia. We've got you stabilized now, but Dr. Morrison wants to keep you for observation. Hawk, Arthur croaked. Where's... Right here, Arthur. Hawk appeared at his bedside, his weathered face creased with worry. Not going anywhere. Dr. Morrison pushed through the curtain, a tablet in his hands and fury in his eyes. Arthur, your blood work came back. I need you to listen very carefully. The levels of your heart medication in your system are essentially 0. Your heart has been functioning without proper support for at least 8 weeks, possibly longer. You're lucky to be alive. The words hit Arthur like physical blows. Lucky to be alive. Lena had been slowly killing him. There's more. Morrison continued, his voice tight. We found traces of diphenhydramine in your system. High levels. That's Benadryl, Arthur. Antihistamine. In the doses you've been getting, it would cause drowsiness, confusion, memory problems. She was drugging him, Hawk said flatly. Yes, to make him appear more confused and dependent than he actually is. Morrison's hands clenched around the tablet. This is attempted murder, or at minimum criminally negligent homicide. Arthur's breath came in short gasps. The monitor beside him started beeping faster. Arthur, I need you to stay calm, Morrison said quickly. Your heart can't handle stress right now. We're getting you the medication you need, but it's going to take time to stabilize you. How much time? Hawk asked. Days, maybe weeks. The damage, Morrison's voice caught. Arthur, I've been your doctor for 15 years. I should have caught this. When you missed your last 2 appointments, I should have... What appointments? Arthur interrupted. I didn't miss any appointments. Morrison's face went ashen. Your caregiver called both times, said you were too ill to come in, that she'd pick up your prescriptions for you. She showed up with your insurance card and proper identification. I had no reason to suspect. She intercepted everything, Hawk said. Calls, mail appointments. Classic isolation pattern. The curtain flew open. A police officer stepped through his badge, glinting under the lights. Behind him came a woman in a gray suit carrying a briefcase. Mr. Collins, I'm Officer Ramirez, no relation to Hawk here, different family. This is Linda Chen from Adult Protective Services. We need to ask you some questions. Arthur looked at Hawk, who nodded. It's okay. Tell them everything you told us. So Arthur did. Again. Every detail, every moment of the past 2 months. The officer took notes, his expression growing grimmer with each sentence. Linda Chen's face remained professionally neutral, but Arthur saw her jaw tighten when he described the locked doors. Mr. Collins, Officer Ramirez said when Arthur finished, we're going to need to collect evidence from your home. The pill bottles, financial records, anything that supports your statement. Do we have your permission to enter the premises? Yes, God, yes, whatever you need. We'll need to confront your caregiver as well. Are you comfortable with that happening, without you present? Arthur's hands started shaking again. The thought of Lena's face, her cold eyes, her practiced smile. He doesn't need to be there, Hawk said firmly. Arthur's staying right here where it's safe. Officer Ramirez nodded. Understood. We've got units heading to your house now. My partner's coordinating with some of your... He glanced at Hawk friends who are already surveilling the property. Raven and Ghost, Hawk said. They know not to engage. Good. Ramirez turned back to Arthur. Mr. Collins, I have to tell you, this is one of the clearest cases of elder abuse I've seen in 20 years on the force. The evidence you've provided combined with the medical findings, she's not walking away from this. Arthur wanted to feel relief. Instead, he felt hollow, exhausted. 2 months of his life stolen, his health destroyed, his trust in humanity shattered. And for what money, how much did she take? Arthur asked quietly. Linda Chen opened her briefcase and pulled out papers. We subpoenaed your bank records as soon as we got the call. Mr. Collins, in the past 8 weeks, approximately $147,000 has been withdrawn from your accounts. Multiple transfers, all signed with your power of attorney. The room tilted. $147,000. That was Eleanor's life insurance, the nest egg they'd saved for decades. The money that was supposed to see him through his final years. Gone, Arthur whispered. It's all gone. Not necessarily, Chen said. If we can prove fraud and coercion, and there are legal remedies, asset recovery, restitution, you won't get it back immediately, but you'll get it back. Officer Ramirez's radio crackled. He stepped away to answer it, his voice low. When he returned, his expression had changed. Units are at your house, Mr. Collins. The suspect is not on the premises. Arthur's heart stuttered. What? Neighbors report seeing her leave approximately 40 minutes ago with several suitcases. We've issued a bolo, be on the lookout. Her car's license plate description photo from the caregiver agency. She won't get far. She knew, Arthur said. His voice sounded dead even to his own ears. She knew I left. She's running. Hawk's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then showed Arthur the screen. A text from Raven. House empty. Back door left open. Papers burning in fireplace. She's destroying evidence, Hawk said grimly. Officer Ramirez was already moving. I need to get over there. Stop that fire, secure the scene. Ms. Chen, you want to ride with me? Absolutely. Chen looked at Arthur. Mr. Collins, I know this is overwhelming, but you did the right thing coming forward. Whatever happens next, you did the right thing. They left in a rush of movement and urgent voices. Arthur stared at the ceiling, counting his heartbeats. 72, 73, 74. Eleanor used to count with him when he couldn't sleep, her hand over his heart, her breath warm against his neck. She's gone, Eleanor, he whispered. Our money's gone. I let this happen. Hey, Hawk's voice was gentle but firm. None of this is your fault. You hear me? None of it. I should have been smarter, should have seen. Arthur, she's a professional. This is what she does. You think you're her first victim? Hawk pulled up a chair and sat down heavily. After what happened to my grandmother, I did research. Started volunteering with elder abuse prevention groups. You know what I learned? These predators are skilled. They target people who are vulnerable, grieving, isolated. They know exactly what they're doing. You didn't fail. She's a criminal, and criminals are good at crime. $147,000, Arthur said. That was supposed to last me the rest of my life. And it still will. We'll make sure of it. Arthur turned his head to look at Hawk. Why are you doing this? You barely know me. Hawk was quiet for a moment. Eleanor used to talk about you while she waited for oil changes. Told me stories about your life together. About how you built your house yourselves piece by piece. How you worked 3 jobs to put Marcus through college. How you nursed her through cancer, never left her side. He paused. She said you were the best man she'd ever known. Said if something ever happened to her, she worried about you being alone. Arthur's vision blurred. She said that last time I saw her, maybe 3 months before she passed. She made me promise something. Hawk's voice roughened. She said, Hawk, if my Arthur ever needs help, if he's ever in trouble, I need you to be there. He won't ask for it himself. He's too proud. But if he needs help, promise me you'll step up. Tears ran down Arthur's cheeks. I didn't know she did that. She loved you. Wanted to make sure you were protected, even after she was gone. Hawk's hand gripped Arthur's shoulder. So yeah, I barely know you. But Eleanor knew you. And I made her a promise. I keep my promises. The door opened. A different nurse entered, older with kind eyes. Mr. Collins, your son is on the phone. He's at SeaTac Airport waiting for his connecting flight. He asked if he could speak with you. She handed Arthur the phone. His hands shook so badly, Hawk had to help him hold it to his ear. Dad. Marcus's voice broke something loose in Arthur's chest. Marcus, I'm sorry, I didn't know she was blocking your calls. I thought you didn't want. Dad, stop. Just stop. Marcus's voice was thick with emotion. I've been going crazy trying to reach you. Every time I called, that woman said you were sleeping or too sick to talk or having a bad day. She said you'd call me back, but you never did. I started thinking maybe you were mad at me or... He choked up. I'm getting on a plane in 20 minutes. I'll be there in 4 hours. Just hang on. Okay, just hang on. I'm hanging on, Arthur whispered. I'm okay now. I'm safe. I love you, Dad. I should have said it more after Mom died. I know. I love you too. After Marcus hung up, Arthur handed the phone back to the nurse. His chest felt lighter somehow, despite the monitors and the IV and the knowledge that his heart was damaged. Hawk's phone buzzed again. He read the message and his expression darkened. Raven got to the fireplace before too much burned. They recovered financial documents, forged signatures, recorded phone calls. He looked up. Arthur, she recorded conversations with you. Probably to splice together and use as evidence of your mental incompetence if anyone questioned her. But that means we have evidence of exactly what she was doing. Her own recordings will convict her. Another text came through. Hawk's jaw tightened. They found your real heart medication, hidden in her bedroom along with 4 other bottles from other prescriptions that aren't yours. She's been running this scam on multiple people. Arthur felt sick. How many others? They're investigating now. But Arthur, this is bigger than we thought. The police are calling in the state attorney general's office. This woman has left a trail of victims. The implications hit Arthur in waves. Other people, other families destroyed, other elderly victims isolated and drugged and robbed. And he'd nearly become another statistic, another forgotten old man who died alone with his abuser, collecting his assets. I want to help, Arthur said suddenly. When they catch her, I want to testify. I want everyone to know what she did. You sure it'll be hard, Arthur? Defense attorneys will try to make you look incompetent, confused. Let them try. I'm not confused anymore. And I'm not scared anymore. Arthur's voice grew stronger. She took my money, my health, my dignity. But she didn't kill me. I'm still here. And I'm going to make sure she pays for what she did. Hawk grinned. There's the fighter Eleanor told me about. The next few hours passed in a blur. Doctors came and went, adjusting Arthur's medication, running more tests. The real heart medication was starting to work. Arthur could feel the difference, like his chest was finally expanding fully, after months of being compressed. Officer Ramirez returned around 6 that evening, his face grim. Mr. Collins, we need to talk. Arthur's stomach dropped. You found her. Not yet, but we found something else. Ramirez pulled up a chair. We've been going through your house documenting evidence. Your computer was still on in your bedroom. Looks like the suspect was in the middle of something when she fled. What? She was shopping for her next victim. Had a list of recently widowed men over 75 pulled from obituaries and funeral home records. Your name was crossed off. There were 3 others circled. The horror of it settled over Arthur like a wet blanket. She'd been planning this, planning to do to someone else exactly what she'd done to him. We've contacted the individuals on the list, Ramirez continued. Warned them, but Mr. Collins, this goes deeper. We found correspondence with the caregiver agency that placed her with you. Looks like she might have had inside help, someone providing her with information on vulnerable clients. Jesus, Hawk muttered. How many people are involved in this? We're still figuring that out. But the agency's records show she's been placed with 12 different clients over the past 4 years. We're trying to track down all of them now. Are they alive? Arthur asked quietly. Ramirez's expression answered before his words did. Some of them, not all. The room went silent. Arthur thought about those other victims, other Arthurs, other Eleanors who died thinking their caregivers were helping them. The rage that had been building in his chest for weeks finally broke through the fear. I want her caught, Arthur said. Whatever it takes, whatever I need to do. I want her stopped. We're doing everything we can, Ramirez assured him. Every law enforcement agency in 3 states has her photo. Her credit cards are flagged. The FBI is involved now because this crosses state lines. She can't use her real identity, can't access her money, can't. Ramirez's radio crackled. He answered it, listened. Then his face changed. Say that again, you're sure? He looked at Arthur. They spotted her car, Highway 101 heading north toward the Oregon border. State patrols in pursuit. Arthur's heart hammered against his ribs. The monitors beside him started beeping frantically. Arthur, stay calm, Hawk said, but his own voice was tight with tension. Ramirez was on his feet, heading for the door. I need to coordinate with the units in pursuit. I'll update you as soon as... No, so. Arthur's voice was surprisingly strong. I want to hear it. What happens? All of it. Ramirez hesitated, then nodded. Okay, I'll keep you informed. He left at a run. Hawk pulled out his phone. Raven's got a police scanner. I'll have her relay updates. They waited. Minutes crawled by like hours. Arthur counted his heartbeats again, trying to keep calm, but his mind kept replaying every moment with Lena. Every lie, every manipulation, every time she'd smiled while slowly destroying him. Hawk's phone buzzed. High-speed pursuit. She's not stopping. Speed over 90 miles per hour. Another minute. Another buzz. She's weaving through traffic. Multiple near misses. They're trying to deploy spike strips ahead. Arthur's hands gripped the bed rails. He thought about the other victims on that list. The ones she'd already destroyed. The ones she was planning to destroy next. She's taking the exit toward Crescent City, Hawk relayed. Wait, she missed the turn, overcorrected. The car's... Hawk went pale. What? Arthur demanded. What happened? The car went off the road, rolled multiple times. Hawk looked at Arthur. She's not moving. Emergency responders are on scene. They waited for what felt like an eternity. Arthur's mind couldn't process what he was feeling. Relief, guilt, justice, all of it mixed together in a confusing swirl. Finally, Officer Ramirez returned. His face was carefully neutral. Mr. Collins, Lena Brooks is in custody. She's alive but critically injured. She's being airlifted to the trauma center in Medford. Will she live? Arthur asked. Unknown, but if she does, she's facing multiple felony charges in multiple states. She's not going anywhere but prison for a very long time. Arthur closed his eyes. It was over. After months of fear and isolation and slowly dying in his own home, it was finally over. Arthur Hawk's voice was gentle. You okay? I don't know, Arthur admitted. I thought I'd feel different. Relieved maybe, but I just feel... He struggled for words. Empty. That's normal, Ramirez said. What you've been through, it's traumatic. You're going to need time to process all of this. Ms. Chen left information about counseling services, support groups for elder abuse survivors. Survivors, Arthur repeated. The word felt strange on his tongue. He'd survived. Against all odds, against Lena's plans, against his own failing body, he'd survived. The door burst open. Marcus stood there, briefcase in one hand, coat disheveled hair wild from running. Dad. Marcus, Arthur's voice broke. Marcus crossed the room in 3 strides and wrapped his arms around Arthur, careful of the IV lines and monitors. Dad, I'm so sorry. I should have been here. I should have checked on you more. I should have. You're here now, Arthur said. That's what matters. Marcus pulled back, tears streaming down his face. I talked to the doctors. They said if you'd waited even another week, if you hadn't gone to that diner. He couldn't finish. But I did go, and these people helped me. Arthur gestured to Hawk. This is Caleb Ramirez. Hawk, he's the one who called you. He and his friends, they saved my life, Marcus. Marcus turned to Hawk and did something Arthur had never seen his corporate executive son do. He grabbed Hawk in a fierce hug. Thank you, God, thank you. Hawk looked surprised but returned the embrace. Your dad's got fight in him. He saved himself. We just provided backup. Marcus pulled away, wiping his eyes. What do you need? Whatever it is, whatever it costs. Right now, Hawk said. Your dad needs rest, and he needs to know his family's here. That's it. Officer Ramirez cleared his throat. I should go. Mr. Collins will need a formal statement tomorrow, but for now, just focus on recovery. You're safe. The suspect is in custody. It's over. After Ramirez left, Marcus pulled up a chair beside Arthur's bed. I'm not leaving. I already called work, told them I'm taking family leave. I'm staying until you're better. Marcus, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Marcus's voice was firm. Dad, I missed Mom's last months because I was too busy with work. I told myself she had you, that she was being taken care of. But I should have been there more. I'm not making that mistake again. You're my father. You're more important than any job. Arthur squeezed his son's hand. She'd be proud of you. Your mother. She'd be so proud. She'd be proud of you too, Marcus said. You fought back. You got yourself out. That took courage. I'm not sure I have. You'd find it if you needed to, Arthur assured him. We all find it when we need to. Hawk stood up. I should head out. Let you two have time together. But Arthur, I'll be back tomorrow. And if you need anything, and I mean anything, you call me. Understood? Understood, Arthur said. And Hawk, thank you. Tell Raven and Doc and all the others, tell them thank you. Will do, Hawk paused at the door. Eleanor would be real happy right now, seeing you safe, seeing Marcus here. She's watching over you, Arthur. I truly believe that. After Hawk left, Marcus helped Arthur adjust his pillows. Tell me about her, about what happened, everything. So Arthur did. For the third time that day, he went through the whole story. But this time it was different. This time he was telling his son, the boy he'd raised, the man who'd flown across the country the moment he knew his father needed him. Marcus listened with growing horror and fury. I'll kill her. If she survives, I swear to God. No, Arthur said firmly. The courts will handle her. We're not going to let her poison us with hate. That's not who we are. That's not who your mother raised you to be. Marcus took a shaky breath. How are you so calm about this? I'm not calm. I'm furious. I'm terrified. I'm exhausted. Arthur looked at his son. But I'm also alive. And that's more than Lena planned for me. So I'm going to focus on that. On being alive. On having you here. On getting better. What about the money she took? We'll figure it out. Ms. Chen said there are ways to recover it. And if we can't, Arthur shrugged, it's just money. I'd rather be broken alive than rich and dead. Marcus laughed a sound somewhere between amusement and hysteria. Mom used to say stuff like that. You sound just like her. 52 years of marriage. Some of her rubbed off on me. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Arthur felt his eyelids growing heavy. The medication, the emotional exhaustion, the sheer relief of having Marcus there, it all combined to pull him towards sleep. Dad, Marcus said quietly, can I ask you something? How did you know to go to that diner? Why there? Why those people? Arthur thought about it, about the locked doors and the fear and the moment he had found Eleanor's hidden key, about standing at the threshold of his prison, deciding whether to step through. Your mother loved those bikers, Arthur said. Used to chat with them at the diner every Sunday. She said they reminded her that there was still kindness in the world, still people who'd help strangers just because it was right. I guess he paused. I guess even after she died, she was still guiding me, still protecting me. Marcus's hand tightened around his. She had good instincts. The best, Arthur agreed, his eyes drifted closed. The very best. As Arthur fell asleep, Marcus sat beside him, one hand holding his father's, the other scrolling through his phone, canceling meetings, rearranging his life, making sure nothing would pull him away from where he needed to be. In the hallway outside, Hawk leaned against the wall, talking quietly on his phone to Raven. Yeah, he's going to be okay. Son's here. Cops got the suspect. It's over. He paused. No, I'm not crying. Shut up. Another pause. Yeah, okay, maybe a little. Eleanor would have wanted this. She'd want to know he's safe. He listened, then smiled. Tell the Brotherhood we did good today. Tell them we kept a promise to a good woman and saved a good man. That's what we do. That's who we are. He hung up and looking through the window at Arthur sleeping peacefully, Marcus keeping watch beside him. For the first time in months, Arthur's face looked relaxed. The fear was gone. The tension had melted away. Hawk nodded to himself and walked toward the elevator. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, legal proceedings, recovery, rebuilding Arthur's life. But tonight an old man could sleep safe, and that was enough. Arthur woke to sunlight streaming through the hospital window, and Marcus asleep in the chair beside him, neck bent at an uncomfortable angle. For a moment, Arthur forgot where he was. Then memory crashed back the escape, the diner, Lena's arrest, everything. His son stirred, blinking awake. Dad, you okay? Need anything? Just needed to see you were real, Arthur said quietly. Had to make sure I didn't dream you being here. Marcus stood and stretched his spine, cracking. I'm real, and I'm not going anywhere. He checked his watch. It's 7 in the morning. You slept almost 12 hours straight. First real sleep I've had in months. Arthur shifted in the bed, testing his body. The heaviness in his chest was less pronounced. His hands still shook, but not as badly. I feel almost human again. A knock at the door interrupted them. Dr. Morrison entered, carrying a chart and wearing an expression Arthur couldn't quite read. Arthur Marcus, good morning. We need to talk about the test results. Arthur's stomach clenched. How bad is it? Morrison pulled up a chair. Your heart sustained significant damage from going without medication for so long. The left ventricle shows decreased function. There's some scarring, but... He paused. But you're 79 years old, Arthur. Your heart was already dealing with age-related changes. The question isn't whether there's damage. The question is whether we can manage it. And can you... Marcus asked, his voice tight. I believe so. With proper medication, lifestyle modifications, regular monitoring, yes. You're not going to run marathons, Arthur. But you can have quality of life. You can live independently. You can heal. Arthur felt tears prick his eyes. I was so sure she'd killed me, that even if she got caught, it was too late. It almost was, Morrison said bluntly. Another week, maybe 2, and we'd be having a very different conversation. But you got out in time. You saved yourself, Arthur. He keeps saying that, Arthur murmured. Hawk, the doctors. Everyone keeps saying I saved myself, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like I barely survived. Surviving is saving yourself, Morrison said firmly. Every day you endured in that house, every moment you didn't give up, that was you fighting. And when you had the chance, you took it. That took courage most people never have to find. A different knock. Officer Ramirez entered, followed by Linda Chen and another man in a dark suit. Mr. Collins, sorry to interrupt. This is Detective Frank Cartwright from the State Attorney General's office. He's taking over the investigation. Cartwright had iron gray hair and eyes that looked like they'd seen every kind of human ugliness. He shook Arthur's hand carefully. Mr. Collins, I need to update you on the situation. It's gotten more complicated. Complicated how? Marcus demanded. Lena Brooks survived the crash. She's in critical condition but expected to recover enough to face charges. Cartwright pulled out a tablet. What we discovered in the last 12 hours, Mr. Collins, this goes far beyond what we initially thought. Arthur's mouth went dry. How far? We've identified 23 potential victims across 4 states over the past 6 years. 23 elderly individuals who had contact with Lena Brooks through various caregiver agencies. Cartwright's voice was carefully controlled. 7 of them are deceased. We're exhuming bodies to determine if their deaths were natural or... Jesus Christ, Marcus breathed. Arthur couldn't speak. 23 people, 7 dead, and he'd almost been number 8. The caregiver agency that placed her with you, Cartwright continued, the owner's under investigation. Preliminary evidence suggests he was providing Brooks with information about vulnerable clients in exchange for a cut of the money she stole. This is organized elder abuse on a scale we rarely see. What about the others? Arthur forced the words out. The ones who are still alive. We're contacting them now. Some are in situations similar to what you experienced. Isolated, confused, having their assets drained. Others, she hadn't fully locked down yet. Cartwright looked directly at Arthur. Your case is the strongest we have. You escaped early enough to provide clear testimony. Your medical records prove the medication tampering. The evidence we recovered from your house is extensive. Mr. Collins, we need you to be the prosecution's primary witness. Arthur's hands started shaking again. You want me to testify against her? In multiple trials, potentially. Brooks for attempted murder, financial exploitation, elder abuse, the agency owner for conspiracy and fraud. Anyone else we identify as complicit. Cartwright's expression softened slightly. I know what I'm asking. You'll be cross-examined. Defense attorneys will try to discredit you, claim you were confused or incompetent. It won't be easy. He'll do it, Marcus said immediately. Marcus, Arthur started. No, Dad, you have to do this. For yourself, for those other victims, for the ones who didn't make it out. Marcus gripped Arthur's shoulder. You're the one who can stop her. Really stop her. Put her away forever. Arthur thought about the list of names Lena had been researching. The 3 men she'd circled as her next targets. The families who'd never know what really happened to their loved ones if the bodies showed natural causes. I'll do it, Arthur said. Whatever you need, I'll testify. Cartwright nodded with something like respect. Thank you, Mr. Collins. We'll prepare you thoroughly. You won't go into that courtroom alone. After they left, Arthur sat in silence. Marcus paced the room, his corporate composure cracking. 23 people, 7 dead. How does someone do that? How does someone look at elderly people and see what walking ATMs? I don't know, Arthur said. But I keep thinking about something Eleanor used to say. Evil isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just selfishness taken to its logical conclusion. Mom was wise. Marcus stopped pacing. Dad about the money she took. The $147,000. I've been thinking, don't. Arthur knew what was coming. Don't offer to replace it. Why not I have money? Because I need to stand on my own. Arthur's voice was gentle but firm. Marcus, you being here supporting me through this, that's what I need, not money. Linda Chen said we can recover most of it through the courts. And if we can't, I'll figure it out. I've lived through harder things than being broke. Have you, Marcus asked quietly. Arthur thought about watching Eleanor die, about the months of grief afterward when he'd forgotten how to function, how to want to keep living, about waking up in his prison with Lena's smile and knowing something was deeply wrong but not trusting his own mind. Yeah, Arthur said, I have, and I survived those too. The door opened again. Hawk entered carrying a duffel bag and looking uncharacteristically uncertain. Sorry to intrude, brought you some things from your house. Clothes, toiletries, some books. Figured the hospital gown wasn't cutting it. You went to my house, Arthur asked. Hope that's okay. Police cleared the scene last night. Marcus gave me your key. Hawk set the duffel down. Also brought something else. He reached into the bag and pulled out a photograph in a silver frame. Eleanor's smiling face looked out at Arthur, her eyes bright with life and mischief. The photo from their 40th anniversary trip to the Grand Canyon. Arthur's breath caught. I thought Lena got rid of all the photos. She hid them in this basement, like she was erasing your history with your wife. Hawk's jaw tightened. Found about 30 more. Raven's cleaning them up, putting them in new frames. You'll have them back soon. Marcus took the photo gently. I remember this trip. Mom talked about it for years. Said it was the first time Dad had taken a real vacation in 20 years. She dragged me, kicking and screaming, Arthur said, smiling through tears. I kept saying we couldn't afford it. She said we couldn't afford not to have the memories. She was right, Hawk said. Memories are what keep us going when times get hard. A nurse entered with Arthur's morning medications. Real medications, this time prescribed by Morrison, carefully measured. Arthur swallowed them without hesitation, trusting for the first time in months that what he was taking would help him not hurt him. Dr. Morrison wants to keep you another 48 hours for observation, the nurse said. Then if everything stabilizes, you can go home. Home. The word felt complicated. Arthur wasn't sure he could go back to that house, walk those halls where Lena had controlled his every movement. But where else would he go, as if reading his mind? Marcus said, I'm staying at the house with you, Dad, at least for the first few weeks, until we figure things out. I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm telling you. Marcus's voice brooked no argument. I already talked to my boss. I'm taking family leave. Jenny's supportive. She sends her love, by the way. She wanted to come down, but someone needs to stay with the kids. But Dad, I'm not leaving you alone. Not yet. Hawk's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression changed. Arthur, I need to tell you something. The Brotherhood, we took a vote last night. We want to help you get your house back to feeling like yours. Clean out anything Lena touched. Fix anything that needs fixing. Make it a home again, not a crime scene. I can't pay you, Arthur said immediately. Don't want payment, want to help. It's what we do. Hawk shifted his weight. Look, after my grandmother died, my family had to deal with going through her house, seeing all the places that woman had violated her space. It was traumatic. We don't want that for you. Let us handle it. Arthur looked at this giant of a man with his leather vest and scarred knuckles, offering kindness to a stranger because he'd made a promise to a dead woman. Why are you all so good to me? Because you're one of us now, Hawk said simply. Your brotherhood, we take care of our own. Marcus cleared his throat, clearly moved. Thank you, seriously. That means more than you know. After Hawk left, promising to return tomorrow with updates, Marcus helped Arthur to the bathroom. Arthur caught sight of himself in the mirror and barely recognized his reflection. Gaunt face, hollow eyes, skin like paper. He looked 20 years older than his 79 years. I look like death, Arthur said. You look like someone who's been through hell, Marcus corrected, but you're still standing, still fighting. That's what matters. Back in bed, Arthur asked the question that had been nagging at him. Marcus, how did I not see what she was doing? How did I let it get that far? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Dad, after Mom died, you weren't yourself. You were drowning in grief. Anyone could see it. I should have been there more. Should have checked on you more. I told myself you needed space, that you'd reach out if you needed help. But really, I was just busy with my own life. I failed you. No. Yes, I did. And I have to live with that. Just like you have to accept that Lena was a professional predator who knew exactly how to exploit someone in your position. She didn't succeed because you were weak. She almost succeeded because she was good at what she does. Almost, Arthur repeated. But she didn't succeed. I got out. You got out, Marcus confirmed. And now we make sure she never does this to anyone else. The day passed slowly. Nurses came and went. Dr. Morrison checked on Arthur twice more. Linda Chen called to discuss the financial recovery process. There would be hearings, restitution orders, asset seizures. It would take time, but she was optimistic they could recover most of the stolen money. That evening, as Marcus dozed in his chair and Arthur stared at Eleanor's photograph, another knock came. Officer Ramirez entered with an older couple Arthur didn't recognize. Mr. Collins, this is Henry and Patricia Donovan. They were one of the other victims we identified. They asked if they could speak with you. Arthur sat up straighter. Of course. The Donovans approached hesitantly. Patricia's eyes were red from crying. Henry gripped a cane with white-knuckled intensity. We're sorry to bother you, Patricia said, but we needed to thank you. The police said if you hadn't escaped when you did, if you hadn't reported what was happening, we wouldn't have known. She was working on Henry. We thought... Her voice broke. We thought he was losing his mind, Henry finished. His voice was rough with emotion. She'd been with us for 3 weeks, already had me doubting my own memory, questioning everything. She hadn't gotten to the medication stage yet, but she was close. If they hadn't shown up when they did, if they hadn't warned us... You saved our lives, Patricia said. We wanted you to know that. Your courage saved us. Arthur didn't know what to say. He'd never thought of himself as courageous. He'd just been desperate and lucky and determined that I needed not to die in that house. I'm glad you're safe, Arthur managed. I'm so glad. After they left, Marcus looked at his father with something like awe. Dad, do you understand what you did? You didn't just save yourself. You saved them. Probably saved others too. I just went to a diner and asked for help, Arthur protested. You did more than that. You trusted your gut even when someone was telling you that you were crazy. You found the strength to escape even when you were weak and sick. You spoke up even when you were terrified. Dad, that's heroism, real heroism. Arthur thought about it, about Eleanor's voice in his head telling him to fight, about the hidden key and the locked doors and the 3 blocks that felt like 3 miles, about Hawk's face when Arthur whispered his desperate plea for help. Maybe Marcus was right. Maybe survival was its own kind of heroism. That night, Arthur slept better than he had in months. No nightmares about Lena's cold smile. No panic about locked doors. Just deep healing sleep with Marcus keeping watch and Eleanor's photo on the bedside table. He woke to voices in the hallway. Urgent voices. Arthur's heart rate picked up and Marcus was instantly alert. What's going on? The door opened. Detective Cartwright entered, his face grim. Mr. Collins, Marcus, I have news. Lena Brooks regained consciousness an hour ago. Arthur's mouth went dry. And and she's talking, cutting a deal with the prosecutor's office. She's agreed to provide information about the entire operation, everyone involved, every victim, every dollar stolen in exchange for a reduced sentence. You're letting her make a deal, Marcus's voice rose. After what she did, we don't have a choice, Cartwright said. Without her cooperation, we might not be able to prosecute the others involved. The agency owner, the people who helped her, the network. She's offering us the whole organization. Arthur felt numb. What kind of reduced sentence? 20 years instead of life. She'd be eligible for parole in 15. She tried to kill him, Marcus said. She tried to kill multiple people, and you're going to let her walk in 15 years. She won't walk. She'll be an old woman by the time she gets out if she survives that long. And in exchange, we get to shut down an entire elder abuse ring. We get justice for all the victims, not just your father. Arthur understood the logic. Understood that this was bigger than just him. But the thought of Lena getting any deal, any reduction in punishment made his blood boil. Does she know I'm the one who reported her? Arthur asked. Cartwright hesitated. Yes, she was told that you escaped and went to authorities. Mr. Collins, I need to be honest with you. She made some threats during her interrogation. Said you'd regret what you did. Said she had friends who could. Are you telling me I'm in danger? Arthur interrupted. We're taking precautions. Protective orders, monitoring. But these threats are common in cases like this. Usually they're just talk. Still, we're not taking any chances. After Cartwright left, Marcus exploded. This is insane. She tries to kill you, and now she's threatening you, and they're giving her a deal. Marcus, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Dad, this woman almost murdered you, and now you have to testify against her knowing she's threatened you. Yes, Arthur's voice was steady, because it's the right thing to do. Because other people are depending on me. Because I'm not going to let her scare me anymore. Marcus stared at his father. When did you get so brave? I'm not brave, I'm just tired of being afraid. Arthur thought about the locked doors, the isolation, the constant terror. She controlled me through fear for months. I won't give her that power anymore. Even if she threatens me, even if I'm scared, I won't let fear control me. Not anymore. Then I'm staying, Marcus said firmly, for as long as it takes until this is over, until she's locked up and you're safe. Your job can wait. You're my father. You're more important than any career. Arthur felt warmth spread through his chest. Not just gratitude, but pride. Marcus had grown into the kind of man Eleanor had always believed he could be. The kind of man who put family first when it mattered. Your mother would be so proud of you, Arthur said softly. She'd be proud of both of us, Marcus replied. The next day brought more visitors. Raven and 3 other bikers from the Brotherhood showed up with the photo albums they'd cleaned and restored. Arthur spent an hour looking through them with Marcus remembering better times. Eleanor at 30, 40, 50, 60. Their life together spread out in photographs. She loved you so much, Raven said, watching Arthur trace Eleanor's face in one photo. Every time she talked about you, her whole face would light up. She used to tell me she'd won the lottery marrying you. I was the one who won the lottery, Arthur said. 52 years with her, not enough, but more than some people get. Doc arrived later with a care package, vitamins, healthy snacks, a book on heart health. You're going to beat this, Arthur. Your heart's been through hell, but it's still beating. That means something. By evening, Arthur was exhausted but strangely content, surrounded by people who cared about him, who'd fought for him, who refused to let him face this alone. It was the opposite of what Lena had tried to do, isolate him, make him believe he was alone and forgotten. Eleanor knew, Arthur said suddenly to Marcus, when she asked Hawk to look out for me. She knew I'd need help, knew I'd be vulnerable. Mom always knew things before they happened, Marcus agreed. It was kind of spooky sometimes. She loved you very much, Arthur said. Used to worry about you working too hard, not spending enough time with your family. But she was always proud of you. I wish I'd told her that I loved her more often. Owen, Marcus said quietly. In the last months when the cancer was bad, I kept thinking I'd have more time. One more conversation. One more chance to say everything I needed to say. She knew, Arthur assured him. Trust me, she knew. They sat in comfortable silence, father and son bound by grief and love, and the determination to get through this together. Dr. Morrison came by for a final evening check. Your numbers are looking good, Arthur, really good. If tomorrow's tests come back stable, I'll discharge you day after tomorrow. You'll need to take it easy for a while, but you can go home. Home. Arthur still wasn't sure how he felt about that, But with Marcus there, with the Brotherhood's help cleaning away Lena's presence, maybe it could be home again. Maybe he could reclaim it. That night, Arthur dreamed of Eleanor. Not a nightmare, but a memory. Their wedding day, her walking down the aisle in her mother's dress, her smile brighter than the sun. In the dream, she stopped beside him and whispered, "You're going to be okay, Arthur. I promise. You are going to be okay." He woke with tears on his face and an absolute certainty that she was right. He would be okay. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. He'd survived the worst. Now came the healing. And he wouldn't do it alone. The discharge papers sat on the table between Arthur and Dr. Morrison, but Arthur's hand hovered over them without signing. 2 days had passed since he'd learned about Lena's deal. 2 days of trying to convince himself he could go back to that house. "Arthur," Morrison prompted gently, "everything all right?" "I don't know if I can do this," Arthur admitted. His voice came out smaller than he intended. "Go back there. Sleep in that house where she—" "Dad, we talked about this," Marcus said. "I'll be there. The Brotherhood cleaned everything. It's going to be different. But it's still the same walls, the same rooms where I was—" Arthur couldn't finish the sentence. "Prisoner, victim, slowly dying." Morrison set down his pen. "Arthur, if you're not ready, we can arrange temporary housing, a rehabilitation facility until you feel stronger." "No." The word came out sharp. Arthur took a breath. "No facilities. I spent 2 months trapped. I'm not going to another place with locks and schedules and people controlling my every move." "Then what do you want to do?" Marcus asked carefully. Arthur looked at Eleanor's photograph, which Marcus had placed on the rolling table beside the bed. What would she say? What would she want him to do? "I want to go home," Arthur said finally. "It's my house. Eleanor and I built that life there. I'm not going to let Lena take that from me, too." She took enough. He signed the papers with a shaking hand. 3 hours later, Marcus pulled into the driveway of Arthur's house. Arthur stared at the familiar blue shutters, the maple tree he and Eleanor had planted 30 years ago, the porch where they drank coffee every morning. It looked the same, but Arthur knew it wasn't. "Ready?" Marcus asked. "No, but let's do it anyway." The front door opened before they reached it. Hawk stood there with a key in his hand. "Thought you might want someone else to open it first. First time back can be hard." Arthur nodded grateful. Hawk pushed the door wide and stepped aside. Arthur took a breath and crossed the threshold. The house smelled different, not like Lena's floral perfume anymore, but like cleaning supplies and fresh air. Arthur moved through the living room, slowly cataloging changes. The chair where he'd sat in despair was gone. New curtains hung in the windows. The carpet had been professionally cleaned. "We got rid of anything she touched extensively," Hawk explained, following at a respectful distance. "Furniture, linens, anything that might trigger bad memories." Raven's wife helped pick out replacements. Tried to match Eleanor's taste from the photos. Arthur ran his hand along the new couch. Soft blue fabric like the ocean. Eleanor had always loved the ocean. "You did this for me. Brotherhood takes care of family," Hawk said simply. Marcus headed upstairs to check the bedrooms. Arthur moved to the kitchen, his heart hammering. This was where Lena had given him the fake pills every morning, where she'd watched him take them with that calculating smile. But the kitchen had been transformed too. New dishes in the cabinets. The table where Lena used to sit was gone, replaced with a smaller breakfast nook. On the counter sat a pill box with Arthur's real medications, labeled with days and times. "Marcus set that up," Hawk said. "Makes it easier to track what you need to take and when." Arthur picked up the pill box, feeling its weight, control over his own medication, his own health, his own life. Such a simple thing, but it meant everything. "Thank you," Arthur said, his voice thick. "I don't know how to repay an article." "You don't repay family," Hawk interrupted. "You just pay it forward when someone else needs help." Marcus came downstairs, his face troubled. "Dad, there's something upstairs you need to see." Arthur's stomach dropped. "What?" "Just come look." Arthur followed Marcus up the stairs, each step an effort despite his improving health. They stopped at the door to the master bedroom, the room Arthur had shared with Eleanor for 52 years, then occupied alone after her death, then been imprisoned in by Lena. Marcus opened the door. Arthur stepped inside and froze. The room looked like it had when Eleanor was alive. Her quilts on the bed, the ones Lena had hidden away. Her books on the nightstand, the curtains she'd sewn herself. Photos of their life together covering every surface. It was like stepping back in time. "The Brotherhood found everything in the basement and attic," Marcus explained. "All the things Lena tried to erase. We put it all back, made it yours and Mom's again." Arthur sank onto the bed, overwhelmed. He picked up one of Eleanor's books, a murder mystery she'd been reading when she died, her bookmark still holding her place. His hands trembled as he opened it and saw her handwriting in the margins. She'd always written notes in her books, arguing with the authors, predicting plot twists. "She's still here," Arthur whispered. "Eleanor's still here." "She never left," Marcus said softly. Lena tried to erase her, but she couldn't. Mom's in every corner of this house, in every memory. She's part of the foundation. Arthur lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. The crack above the window that Eleanor always meant to fix but never got around to. The paint color she'd chosen, sage green, because it reminded her of spring. This was his home, his and Eleanor's, and no one could take that away. That night, Arthur lay awake listening to Marcus snore in the guest room down the hall. Every creak of the house made him tense. Every shadow seemed threatening. But he was home. He was safe. He kept repeating it like a mantra. Around 2 a.m. his phone rang. Arthur grabbed it, heart racing. Unknown number. "Hello?" Heavy breathing on the other end. Then a voice, female and cold. "You think you're safe, old man?" Arthur's blood turned to ice. "Who is this? You should have died when you had the chance. Now you're going to wish you had." The line went dead. Arthur sat up, shaking violently. Marcus appeared in the doorway seconds later. "Dad, I heard your phone. Who was it?" "I don't know. Someone threatening me. Said I should have died. Said I'd wish I had." Marcus grabbed the phone, checking the call log. "I'm calling the police. Right now." Officer Ramirez arrived within 20 minutes with 2 other officers. They traced the call, a burner phone untraceable. But the threat was real enough to take seriously. "Mr. Collins, we're going to station a patrol car outside your house for the next few nights," Ramirez said. "And I'm escalating this to Detective Cartwright. Lena Brooks is still in the hospital under guard. This wasn't her making the call." "Then who?" Arthur asked. "Someone working with her. Someone who's scared you're going to expose them too." Ramirez's expression was grim. "Mr. Collins, we may need to move you to a safe house." "No." Arthur's voice was firm despite his fear. "I just got home. I'm not running again. Put guards outside, install cameras, whatever you need, but I'm staying in my house." After the police left, Marcus made coffee, even though it was 3 a.m. Neither of them could sleep. They sat at the kitchen table and Arthur noticed his son's hands shaking as he lifted his mug. "I should have been here," Marcus said. "After Mom died, I should have moved back, checked on you more. Then none of this would have happened. You had your own life, your family. You're my family too." Marcus's voice cracked. "Dad, I keep thinking about what could have happened if you hadn't gotten out. If you'd waited even a few more days, I could have lost you. I could have lost both parents in the same year and never known the truth. But you didn't lose me. I'm here. Barely. And now someone's threatening you. Now you're in danger because you had the courage to speak up." Marcus scrubbed his face with his hands. "I'm terrified, Dad. I'm terrified they're going to succeed where Lena failed." Arthur reached across the table and gripped his son's hand. "They won't. I didn't survive Lena just to let some coward on a phone scare me to death. I'm tougher than I look." "You're the toughest person I know," Marcus said. "But Dad promised me something. Promise me you'll be careful, that you won't take risks." "I promise." Arthur squeezed his son's hand. "I've got too much to live for now. Got to see you more. Got to meet my grandchildren again. When's the last time they visited?" "Too long." Marcus smiled weakly. "They ask about you all the time. Sarah wants to know when Grandpa can come visit. Tommy made you a drawing at school. Then I need to stay alive to see them. Simple as that." Dawn came slowly. Arthur dozed in his chair, jarred awake by every sound. When light finally filtered through the windows, he felt exhausted, but also strangely determined. Fear wouldn't control him anymore. He'd spent 2 months drowning in fear. Not again. Hawk called at 7. "Heard about the threat. Brotherhood's coming by today to install a security system. Top of the line, cameras, motion sensors, panic buttons. Nobody's getting near you without us knowing." "You don't have to." "Yeah, I do. Eleanor asked me to protect you. That's what I'm doing." Hawk paused. "Arthur, whoever made that call, they're getting desperate. That means we're close to exposing them. Just hang on a little longer." By noon, Arthur's house looked like a fortress. Cameras covered every angle. Motion sensors on all doors and windows. A panic button by Arthur's bed that would alert both the police and the Brotherhood. Raven showed Arthur how to use the security app on his phone. "You're safer here than in Fort Knox," she assured him. Anyone tries anything will know immediately. That afternoon, Detective Cartwright arrived with news. We've identified the agency owner who worked with Brooks, Thomas Kellerman. He's agreed to cooperate in exchange for immunity. Claims he can give us names of other caregivers in the network, other victims, the whole operation. Another deal, Marcus said bitterly. Everyone gets a deal except the victims. That's how we build cases against organizations, Cartwright said. We flip the lower-level players to get the higher-ups. Kellerman gives us the network. The network gives us patterns. Patterns give us convictions. And the phone call, Arthur asked. Probably someone in the network who knows they're about to be exposed. Kellerman's giving us names today. By tonight, we'll have a dozen people in custody. Cartwright looked directly at Arthur. Mr. Collins, I need you to understand something. Your testimony isn't just about Lena Brooks anymore. You're going to be the face of this entire case. The survivor who broke it open. That makes you valuable, but it also makes you a target. I understand. Do you? Because these people have stolen millions over the years. They've killed elderly victims to cover their tracks. They're not going to go down quietly. Cartwright's voice was hard. I can't guarantee your safety. The patrol cars, the security system, they help. But someone determined enough, scared enough, they could still get to you. Marcus stood up. Then what do you suggest that he hides, that he backs out of testifying? I'm suggesting he understands the risks. Cartwright turned to Arthur. If you want to withdraw your testimony, no one would blame you. You've been through enough. Arthur thought about the Donovans who'd thanked him for saving their lives, about the 7 dead victims whose families deserved answers, about the list of 3 men Lena had circled as her next targets. I'm not withdrawing, Arthur said. Schedule the trials. I'll be there. After Cartwright left, Marcus exploded. Are you insane? Someone just threatened to kill you and you're doubling down on testifying. What choice do I have? You have the choice to stay alive, to be safe. I'll never be safe as long as these people are out there, Arthur said. Don't you see? If I back down now, they win. Lena wins. Everyone who preys on vulnerable people wins. I can't live with that. I can't live with you dead, Marcus shouted, then softer. I can't lose you too, Dad. I can't. Arthur pulled his son into a hug. Marcus clung to him like he had as a child, and Arthur felt wetness on his shoulder as Marcus cried. You're not going to lose me, Arthur promised. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to stay alert. And I'm going to survive this just like I survived Lena. You have to trust me. I trust you. I don't trust them. That evening, the news broke. 8 arrests in the elder abuse network. Caregivers agency employees, even a lawyer who'd helped draft fraudulent power of attorney documents. Arthur watched the press conference on TV, seeing Detective Cartwright announce the bust. This investigation began when one victim found the courage to escape his abuser and report what was happening, Cartwright said to the cameras. That victim's bravery has saved countless lives and brought down a criminal organization that's been operating for years. We owe him a debt of gratitude. Arthur's phone started ringing. News outlets wanting interviews, reporters wanting his story. Marcus fielded the calls, turning them all down. You're not a circus act, he said firmly. You don't owe anyone your trauma. But one call Marcus did put through. Linda Chen from Adult Protective Services. Mr. Collins, I wanted to give you an update on the asset recovery. With Kellerman's cooperation, we've located accounts where the stolen money was being held. Early estimates suggest we can recover about 80% of what was taken from you. Arthur felt dizzy. 80% of $147,000. That was over $100,000. Money he thought was gone forever. When, he asked. Could be months. Could be a year. But Mr. Collins, you're getting your life back. Your health, your home, your money. You won. You survived and you won. After hanging up, Arthur sat in silence. Won. Had he won, Lena was still alive making deals. Someone had threatened him. He was living in a fortress jumping at shadows. This didn't feel like winning. But then he looked around his living room, at Eleanor's photos on the walls, at Marcus working on his laptop, staying close, at the security monitors showing the Brotherhood members who'd volunteered to keep watch tonight, at his real medications sitting on the counter, keeping his heart beating. Maybe this was what winning looked like after trauma. Not a clean victory, but survival. Not perfection, but progress. Not fearlessness, but courage despite fear. The next morning, Arthur woke to voices downstairs. He grabbed the panic button before remembering Marcus was here. Probably just his son on a phone call. But Arthur moved quietly to the top of the stairs anyway, listening. Can't keep taking time off, Marcus was saying. I understand, honey, I do. But he needs me right now. Someone threatened him. I can't just leave him alone. His wife's response wasn't audible, but Marcus's next words came out strained. I'm not choosing him over you and the kids. I'm trying to take care of everyone. My father almost died. He's still in danger. What do you want me to do? Arthur's chest tightened with guilt. He was pulling Marcus away from his family, disrupting his son's life, being a burden just like Lena had tried to make him believe. He retreated to his room and got dressed slowly. By the time he came downstairs, Marcus was off the phone and making breakfast with forced cheerfulness. Morning, Dad. How'd you sleep? Marcus, you need to go home. Marcus's spatula clattered against the pan. What? To Seattle, to your wife and kids. I heard you on the phone. I'm causing problems in your marriage. Dad, no, Jenny understands. She's just worried about me, about us, but she wants you safe too. I am safe. Look at this place. It's locked down tighter than a bank vault. The police are watching. The Brotherhood's watching. I don't need a babysitter. Arthur kept his voice firm. I need you to go home to your family. You're my family too. And your children need their father. Your wife needs her husband. Marcus, I love that you came. I love that you stayed. But I can't be the reason your marriage suffers. Eleanor would never forgive me. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. I don't want to leave you. I know, but I'm telling you to. I'll be fine. And you're only a phone call away if I need you. They argued about it for an hour. Finally, reluctantly, Marcus agreed to return home but promised to come back every weekend. And you call me every day, he insisted, morning and night. If I don't hear from you, I'm getting on a plane immediately. Deal. 2 days later, Arthur stood at the door watching Marcus's rental car disappear down the street. The house felt empty without him. Too quiet. Arthur made coffee and sat at the kitchen table to Eleanor's photo in front of him. Just you and me again, he said to her picture, like it was after you died. Except this time, I know I'm not really alone. The doorbell rang. Arthur checked the security monitor, Hawk and Doc standing on the porch. He buzzed them in. Heard Marcus headed home, Hawk said. Thought you might need company. I'm fine. Sure you are. Doc pulled a deck of cards from his pocket. Eleanor used to tell us you play a mean game of poker. Thought we'd test that theory. They played cards for 3 hours. Arthur won 2 hands out of 10, which Doc claimed was beginner's luck. Hawk told stories about his Marine days. Doc talked about his work as an EMT before he retired. They didn't mention Lena or the threats or the upcoming trials, just cards and stories and laughter. After they left, Arthur realized he'd gone 3 hours without feeling afraid. 3 hours of just being a normal person, having a normal afternoon with friends. It felt like a miracle. That night, he slept better. The next day, he ventured out to Henderson's roadside grill for coffee. The waitress recognized him and hugged him tight. Heard what you've been through, honey. You're a fighter. Coffee's on the house today. Other customers nodded at him with respect. Word had spread through the small town. Arthur Collins, the man who'd escaped his abuser and taken down a criminal network. He wasn't sure he liked the attention, but it felt better than the isolation Lena had forced on him. A week passed, then 2. Arthur fell into a routine. Morning medication breakfast, a walk around the block with Hawk or one of the other Brotherhood members. Lunch at home, afternoons spent sorting through Eleanor's things, remembering their life together. Evenings on the phone with Marcus and his grandchildren. Then Detective Cartwright called. Mr. Collins, we've scheduled the preliminary hearing for Lena Brooks. 2 weeks from today. You'll need to testify about what she did to you. Are you ready? Arthur thought about it. Was he ready to face her, to look at the woman who'd tried to kill him and tell a courtroom full of strangers about the most humiliating, terrifying experience of his life? Yes, he said, I'm ready. But when he hung up, his hands were shaking. 2 weeks. 14 days until he'd have to face Lena again. 14 days to prepare himself for her cold eyes and practice smile. 14 days to find the courage he'd need to tell his story without breaking down. That night, Arthur pulled out the journal Dr. Morrison had suggested he keep. Write down your experiences, Morrison had said. Processing trauma through writing can help you heal and prepare for testimony. Arthur opened to a blank page and began to write. Not the clinical facts, but the feeling of those 2 months. The fear, the confusion, the slow realization that he was being poisoned, the locked doors, the isolation. Eleanor's voice in his head telling him to fight. He wrote for hours, tears streaming down his face, his hand cramping. When he finally stopped, dawn was breaking outside his window. The journal was half full, and Arthur felt lighter somehow, like he'd transferred the weight from his chest to the pages. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of preparation, meeting with prosecutors, reviewing evidence, practicing his testimony. The lawyer assigned to the case, a sharp woman named Sarah Kim, drilled him on what to expect. The defense will try to make you look incompetent, she warned. They'll question your memory, your mental state. They'll suggest you're confused about what happened. Let them try, Arthur said. I know what happened. I was there. That's good. Hold on to that certainty. And Mr. Collins, don't let them make you angry. Stay calm, stick to the facts. The evidence speaks for itself. The night before the hearing, Arthur couldn't sleep. He got up at 2 a.m. and found Hawk sitting in a car outside his house. What are you doing here? Arthur asked through the window. Making sure you're safe. Big day tomorrow. Figured you could use the backup. Arthur climbed into the passenger seat. They sat in silence for a while, watching the empty street. You scared? Hawk asked finally. Terrified. Good. Means you're taking it seriously. Hawk pulled out a thermos of coffee and poured 2 cups. Let me tell you something my drill sergeant used to say. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's being scared out of your mind and doing what needs to be done anyway. Eleanor used to say something similar. Bravery is being afraid and showing up anyway. Smart woman. Hawk sipped his coffee. You're going to do great tomorrow, Arthur. You're going to walk into that courtroom and you're going to tell the truth. And Lena Brooks is going to realize she picked the wrong victim. What if I freeze? What if I see her and I can't speak? Then you take a breath, look at Eleanor's photo in your pocket. I know you're carrying it, and remember why you're doing this. For yourself, for the other victims, for justice. Hawk turned to look at Arthur. She doesn't have power over you anymore. You took it back when you walked out that door. Tomorrow you're just confirming what's already true. You survived. She lost. Arthur nodded, feeling some of his fear ease. They sat together until the sun came up, drinking coffee and watching Arthur's neighborhood come to life. Dog walkers and joggers and early commuters. Normal people living normal lives. The life Arthur was fighting to reclaim. At 8 a.m, Sarah Kim picked Arthur up. Marcus had flown in the night before and insisted on attending the hearing. They drove to the courthouse in silence, Sarah reviewing her notes. Marcus gripping Arthur's hand, Arthur staring out the window and trying to breathe. The courthouse loomed ahead, its steps already crowded with reporters and camera crews. Arthur's stomach lurched. There's going to be media, Sarah warned. Don't talk to them. Keep your head up and walk straight through. I'll handle any questions. They pushed through the crowd cameras, flashing reporters shouting questions. Arthur kept his eyes forward, Marcus's hand on his back, guiding him. Inside the courthouse, the noise faded to echoes and whispers. Sarah led them to a waiting room. The hearing starts in 30 minutes. Arthur, I need you to remember this is just preliminary. You'll tell your story. The judge will determine if there's enough evidence to proceed to trial. It's not the full trial yet. Will she be there? Arthur asked. Lena. Yes, she has the right to face her accuser, but she'll be in restraints and surrounded by guards. She can't hurt you. 30 minutes felt like 30 seconds. Then a bailiff was calling them into the courtroom. Arthur walked through the doors and stopped. The room was larger than he'd expected. Gallery seats filled with people, other victims, reporters, Brotherhood members in their leather vests showing support. And at the defense table, Lena Brooks. She looked smaller than Arthur remembered, thinner. Her hair had lost its shine. She wore an orange jumpsuit and restraints. But when she turned and her eyes met his, Arthur saw the same cold calculation he remembered from his kitchen, the same predatory assessment. She smiled. Arthur's knees nearly buckled. Marcus caught him. I've got you, Dad. I've got you. They made it to their seats behind the prosecutor's table. Sarah leaned over. You okay? No, but I'm here. Arthur straightened his spine. Lena was still watching him, that smile still in place. He met her gaze and didn't look away. You don't control me anymore, he thought. You're done. The judge entered. Everyone rose. The hearing began. Sarah Kim stood and called Arthur's name. His legs felt like water as he walked to the witness stand. The bailiff held out a Bible. Arthur placed his hand on it, his palm sweating. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth? The whole truth and nothing but the truth? I do. His voice came out stronger than he felt. He sat down. The courtroom stretched before him, judge, jury box, Lena at the defense table, still wearing that smile. Arthur pulled Eleanor's photo from his pocket and set it on the ledge in front of him. His anchor. Sarah approached with a gentle expression. Mr. Collins, can you tell the court how you came to hire Lena Brooks as your caregiver? Arthur took a breath. My wife Eleanor died 7 months ago. Cancer. After she passed, I had trouble managing on my own. The grief was, his voice caught. A friend recommended an agency. They sent Lena. And at first, how did she seem? Kind, compassionate. She reminded me to take my medication, help with meals, kept the house clean. I thought, Arthur's hands tightened on the armrest. I thought Eleanor had sent me an angel. Lena's lawyer, a thin man with wire-rimmed glasses named Gerald Hutchins, smirked. Arthur saw it and felt rage flare in his chest. When did things change? Sarah asked. About 3 weeks in. Small things at first. My pills looked different. She said the doctor changed my prescription. My phone stopped working. She said it was broken. I'd put something down and couldn't find it later. She said my memory was failing. What did you think was happening? I thought I was losing my mind. Arthur's voice cracked. I thought the grief had broken something in my brain. Every day I'd wake up more confused, more tired, more scared. And Lena was always there, so helpful, so concerned, telling me it was normal, telling me I needed her. Sarah walked him through it methodically. The locked doors, the intercepted phone calls, the bruises, the financial documents he didn't remember signing. Arthur's voice grew steadier as he talked the facts, giving him strength. Mr. Collins, how did you discover what was really happening? I overheard her on the phone one night, talking about stealing my money, about how I was too confused to stop her, about, Arthur looked directly at Lena, about how easy it was to victimize old people like me. Lena's smile finally faltered. Sarah presented evidence. The pill bottles with vitamins instead of heart medication. Bank statements showing the withdrawals. The forged power of attorney. Phone records proving Marcus had been trying to call for weeks. Medical records showing the damage to Arthur's heart from going without proper medication. Mr. Collins, what would have happened if you hadn't escaped when you did? I would have died. Arthur's voice was flat, certain. In another week, maybe 2. My heart would have given out and Lena would have collected my life insurance and moved on to her next victim. No further questions, Your Honor. Gerald Hutchins stood up. He buttoned his jacket and approached Arthur with practiced sympathy. Mr. Collins, I'm sorry for your loss. Losing a spouse after 52 years must have been devastating. It was. Would you say you were in a vulnerable emotional state after your wife's death? Arthur saw the trap immediately. I was grieving, but I wasn't incompetent. Of course not, but grief can affect our judgment, can it? Our memory, our perception of events. My perception was fine. My memory was affected by the antihistamines your client was feeding me to make me seem confused. Hutchins' smile tightened. Mr. Collins, you're 79 years old. Isn't it possible that some of the memory issues you experienced were simply age-related? No. You're certain because medical records show you'd complained to Dr. Morrison about forgetfulness even before Ms. Brooks entered your life. Arthur felt the ground shift. Had he complained about that? He couldn't remember. The uncertainty must have shown on his face because Hutchins pounced. You don't remember, do you? In fact, Mr. Collins, there are quite a few things you don't remember clearly. Isn't it possible that in your grief and confusion you misinterpreted my client's legitimate caregiving as something sinister? No. Arthur's voice was firm. I know what happened to me. Do you, because you've testified that you can't remember signing the power of attorney documents? You can't remember having conversations with your doctor about changing your medication. You can't remember many of the interactions you had with Ms. Brooks. How can you be certain your interpretation of events is accurate when you can't remember the events themselves? I remember the locked doors, Arthur said. I remember overhearing her on the phone talking about stealing my money. I remember the bruises on my arms from where she grabbed me. I remember being terrified in my own home. Fear and confusion can create false memories, Mr. Collins, especially in elderly individuals dealing with grief and possible cognitive decline. Objection, Sarah called out. Counsel is testifying. Sustained, the judge said. Mr. Hutchins asked questions, don't make statements. Hutchins adjusted his approach. Mr. Collins, did Ms. Brooks ever explicitly threaten you? She didn't have to. The locked doors were threat enough. But she never said, I'm going to hurt you or I'm going to kill you, correct? Not in those words. So the threats were implied, interpreted by you based on your emotional state? Arthur felt his control slipping. Hutchins was twisting everything, making it sound like Arthur had imagined the whole thing. He looked at Eleanor's photo. Stay calm, tell the truth. The threats were real, Arthur said steadily, just like the stolen money was real. just like the fake medication was real, just like the 7 other victims who died were real. Objection, Hutchins snapped. Move to strike. The alleged other victims are not part of these proceedings. Overruled, the judge said. The witness may speak to his knowledge of the broader investigation. Hutchins' face reddened. He tried a different tactic. Mr. Collins, isn't it true that you have a financial motive to fabricate these accusations, that you are hoping to recover money through civil litigation? I'm hoping to get justice, Arthur said. The money's secondary. But you are seeking financial recovery, correct? I'm seeking to get back what was stolen from me, yes. That's not the same as fabricating anything. Hutchins pressed him for another 20 minutes, trying to find contradictions, trying to make Arthur look incompetent or vengeful or confused. But Arthur held firm. He'd lived through this nightmare. He knew the truth. And no slick lawyer was going to make him doubt himself. Finally, Hutchins gave up. No further questions. Arthur slouched down from the witness stand, his legs shaking. Marcus gripped his shoulder as he sat down. You did great, Dad. You did great. The prosecution called other witnesses. Dr. Morrison testified about the medication tampering and Arthur's declining health. Officer Ramirez described the evidence found at Arthur's house. The Donovans testified about their own narrow escape. Each piece of testimony built on the last, creating an undeniable picture of systematic abuse. Then Sarah stood and said the words Arthur had been dreading. The prosecution calls Lena Brooks to the stand. Lena stood, her restraints clinking. She moved to the witness stand with that same smooth confidence Arthur remembered from his kitchen. She swore her oath, sat down, and looked directly at Arthur. Sarah began the questioning. Ms. Brooks, how many elderly clients have you worked with as a caregiver? Dozens over the years. Lena's voice was soft, pleasant. It's my calling, helping people in their final years. And how many of those clients gave you power of attorney over their finances? Several. It's common practice when clients become unable to manage their own affairs. Is it common practice to replace their life-saving medications with vitamins? Lena's expression didn't change. I never replaced anyone's medication. Mr. Collins was confused. His grief and age-related cognitive decline made him paranoid and delusional. Arthur felt Marcus tense beside him. Sarah's voice remained calm. Ms. Brooks, we have evidence that you purchased large quantities of antihistamines. What were those for? My allergies. Enough to sedate an elephant. I bought in bulk. It was cheaper. Sarah pulled out a document. This is a recording of a phone conversation between you and Thomas Kellerman, the agency owner. In it, you discuss targeting vulnerable old men and maximizing asset extraction. Can you explain that? Lena hesitated for just a second. That conversation was taken out of context. Really, what's the proper context for the old fool signed whatever I put in front of him? Those were your words, Ms. Brooks, about Mr. Collins. I was venting. Caregiving is stressful. Sometimes we say things we don't mean. Did you mean it when you told Mr. Kellerman that Arthur Collins would be dead within a month and you'd collect his life insurance? The courtroom went silent. Lena's lawyer half rose from his seat. Lena's face finally showed emotion calculation, trying to figure out how to spin this. I never said that, she said finally. We have the recording, Ms. Brooks. Would you like to hear it? Sarah played the audio. Lena's voice clear and cold, discussing Arthur's impending death like a business transaction. When it finished, the silence in the courtroom was absolute. Lena tried to recover. I was speaking hypothetically, as caregivers were trained to prepare for worst-case scenarios. By hastening them along, Sarah's voice cut like a blade. By stealing medication and replacing it with placebos. By isolating victims from their families. By draining their bank accounts. I did none of those things. Mr. Collins is a confused old man looking for someone to blame for his declining health. Then explain the 7 other victims with the exact same pattern of abuse. Explain the money we found in offshore accounts registered to shell companies you control. Explain the other bottles of prescription medication found in your possession that didn't belong to you. Sarah leaned forward. Ms. Brooks, you're not a caregiver. You're a predator. And you made one critical mistake. What's that? Lena asked, her composure cracking. You picked a victim who refused to die quietly. Sarah called more witnesses. Thomas Kellerman, looking defeated, testified about the network, the lawyer who drafted fraudulent documents. Other caregivers who'd been part of the scheme. The evidence mounted until it was insurmountable. At 5 p.m, the judge called for closing arguments. Sarah stood and addressed the court. Your Honor, the evidence is clear. Lena Brooks is a serial predator who targeted vulnerable elderly individuals, gained their trust, isolated them from support systems, and systematically robbed them while hastening their deaths. She did this not once, not twice, but at least 23 times that we can document. 7 people are dead because of her actions. Arthur Collins survived only because he found the courage to escape and ask for help. The state requests that Ms. Brooks be held over for trial on all charges: attempted murder, elder abuse, financial exploitation, and conspiracy. Thank you. Gerald Hutchins stood. Your Honor, the prosecution's case relies heavily on the testimony of a confused, grieving man whose own medical records show cognitive decline. Yes, money was transferred from Mr. Collins's accounts, but he authorized those transfers. Yes, his medication bottles contain vitamins, but that could have been his own error. The prosecution wants you to believe my client is a mastermind criminal, but the evidence shows only that Mr. Collins misunderstood his caregiver's legitimate assistance. We request all charges be dismissed. The judge looked at the evidence in front of her, then at Lena, then at Arthur. I'll render my decision tomorrow morning. Court is adjourned. Arthur walked out of the courthouse surrounded by Marcus Hawk and several Brotherhood members forming a protective wall against the media. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Arthur kept his head up and didn't answer any of them. In the car, he finally allowed himself to shake. What if the judge dismisses it? What if Hutchins convinced her I'm just a confused old man? He didn't, Marcus said firmly. Dad, you were incredible in there. You didn't let him rattle you. You told the truth clearly and powerfully. The judge saw that. That night, Arthur couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. He paced his house, replaying every word of his testimony, every question Hutchins had asked, every hole he might have left in his story. At midnight, his phone rang. Unknown number again. Arthur's heart stopped. He almost didn't answer. Then, angry at his own fear, he picked up. Hello? Mr. Collins. A woman's voice unfamiliar. My name is Patricia Harding. You don't know me, but Lena Brooks was my mother's caregiver 3 years ago. My mother died in her care. They said it was natural causes. It wasn't, was it? Arthur sank into a chair. Probably not. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you for being brave. My mother, she was afraid at the end. Kept saying something was wrong, that her caregiver was hurting her. We thought she was confused. We didn't listen. Patricia's voice broke. We didn't listen, and she died, and I've had to live with that. But because of you, I can request an autopsy. I can get answers. So thank you. After she hung up, Arthur sat in the dark holding his phone. 6 more calls came that night. Other families, other victims, all thanking him, all saying his courage had given them hope. At dawn, exhausted and wrung out, Arthur finally fell asleep in Eleanor's chair. He dreamed of her again, young and laughing, dancing in their living room to music only she could hear. In the dream, she kissed his forehead and whispered, I'm proud of you. Marcus woke him at 8. Dad, we need to get to the courthouse. The judge is reading her decision at 9. They made it with minutes to spare. The courtroom filled quickly, other victims, media Brotherhood members, curious onlookers. Lena sat at the defense table looking pale and drawn. When Arthur entered, she looked away. The judge entered. Everyone rose. She sat and the room held its breath. I've reviewed the evidence and testimony presented yesterday, Judge Marilyn Torres said. I've considered the defense's arguments regarding Mr. Collins's potential confusion. I've weighed the physical evidence against the witness testimony, and I've reached a decision. Arthur gripped Marcus's hand so hard his son winced. The evidence presented is overwhelming and disturbing, Torres continued. The medical records, financial documents, recordings, and testimony from multiple witnesses paint a clear picture of systematic premeditated abuse. Mr. Collins's testimony was credible, detailed, and corroborated by objective evidence. The defense's assertion that he fabricated these events due to cognitive decline is not supported by the facts. Lena's lawyer stood. Your Honor. Sit down, Mr. Hutchins. I'm not finished. Torres turned her gaze to Lena. Ms. Brooks, you are hereby ordered to stand trial on all charges. Bail is denied. You will remain in custody until trial. Furthermore, I'm ordering additional charges to be filed related to the other victims identified in this investigation. The courtroom erupted. Marcus pulled Arthur into a hug. Behind them, the Brotherhood members cheered. Lena sat frozen, her face finally showing fear. Order, Torres banged her gavel. This court is adjourned. Outside, Arthur faced the media for the first time. Sarah had advised him to make a brief statement. He stood on the courthouse steps, microphones thrust toward him, and spoke. My name is Arthur Collins, 7 months ago, I lost my wife, Eleanor, after 52 years of marriage. In my grief, I became vulnerable to someone who saw that vulnerability as an opportunity. Lena Brooks didn't just steal my money. She stole my dignity, my health, my sense of safety in my own home. She tried to steal my life. Arthur paused, gathering his strength. But she failed. And I'm standing here today to tell anyone who's being abused by a caregiver, by a family member, by anyone that you can survive. You can escape. You can get justice. It won't be easy. It will be the hardest thing you've ever done. But you're stronger than you think. And there are people who will help you if you ask. Don't die in silence. Speak up. Fight back. Survive. The cameras clicked furiously. Arthur turned and walked down the steps, Marcus on one side, Hawk on the other. The trial itself came 4 months later. By then, Arthur's health had stabilized. His heart would never be what it was, but with proper medication and care, Dr. Morrison said he could have years left. Good years. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Arthur testified again, stronger this time. The jury listened with rapt attention as prosecutors laid out the evidence. Other victims testified. Kellerman described the network in detail. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, guilty on all counts. Lena Brooks was sentenced to 45 years in prison without possibility of parole. At 73 years old, she'd die behind bars. As the sentence was read, she finally looked at Arthur. Not with the cold calculation he remembered, but with pure hatred. Arthur met her gaze and felt nothing, no fear, no anger, just relief that it was over. In the months that followed, Arthur's life slowly rebuilt itself. The insurance money was recovered, all $147,000 plus interest. The house felt like home again. Marcus visited monthly, bringing the grandchildren. Arthur taught them to play cards and told them stories about their grandmother. The Brotherhood adopted him officially. Hawk taught him to play poker for real. Doc checked on his health weekly. Raven's wife brought him meals when she cooked too much. He was never alone unless he wanted to be. One Saturday afternoon, 6 months after the trial, Arthur returned to Henderson's roadside grill. He walked through the door and the place went quiet, then erupted in applause. The Brotherhood was there, the waitresses, regular customers he'd known for years. A banner hung over the counter. Welcome back, Arthur. Hawk pulled him into a bear hug. Glad you finally came home. They gave him the booth in the corner, Eleanor's favorite spot. Arthur sat and ordered coffee and for the first time in over a year, he felt completely at peace. A young woman approached hesitantly. Mr. Collins, I'm sorry to bother you, but I wanted to thank you. My grandfather was one of Lena Brooks's victims. He died before we knew what was happening. Because of your testimony, we got the truth. We got closure. So thank you. Arthur took her hand. I'm sorry for your loss, but your grandfather didn't die in vain. None of them did. We made sure of that. After she left, Arthur sat with his coffee and watched the Brotherhood laugh and joke around him. He thought about Eleanor and how she'd somehow known he'd need these people, how she'd set everything in motion with a simple request to Hawk. You always were smarter than me, Arthur whispered to her memory. That evening, as the sun set and the diner began to empty, Arthur looked at the men and women in leather vests who'd saved his life. They hadn't worn badges or uniforms. They'd worn leather and ridden motorcycles and shown up when he needed them most. Hawk caught his eye and raised his coffee cup in a silent toast. Arthur returned the gesture. He'd survived. He'd fought back. He'd won. Not just for himself, but for every victim who couldn't fight for themselves. Lena Brooks would never hurt anyone again. The network was destroyed. Justice was served, and Arthur Collins, 79-year-old retired mechanic widower, father, grandfather, and survivor, was finally free. Sometimes the people who save you don't wear badges. They wear leather vests and have hearts bigger than their motorcycles, ready to fight for justice when others can't. And sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't charging into battle, but simply refusing to die quietly when someone wants you gone. Arthur had done both. He'd survived his nightmare and emerged stronger, surrounded by a chosen family who'd proven that heroes come in all forms. Eleanor had been right all along. There was still kindness in the world, still people who'd help strangers just because it was right. And on this ordinary Saturday evening in Redwood Harbor, Arthur Collins finally understood what it meant to be truly, completely, wonderfully alive.